Mortgage at 878-9999. That's 878-9999.
KMOV TV for St. Louis. Thanks for choosing News 4 St. Louis at noon.
Our top story at this noon hour, a jury in St. Louis is considering whether a smoke detector can be blamed for the deaths of 2 young children. Good afternoon. I'm Robin Smith. Thank you for joining us. The jurors began deliberating yesterday, and they're continuing their work today. News 4's Laura Nangle is standing by live. She's at the Civil Courts building in downtown with more on the case. Hi, Laura.
Hi. Well, the parents of the 2 children who died in that fire, Tim and Mary Gordon, they were in the courtroom. They spoke with me briefly this morning. They didn't want to talk about the deaths of their children, Erica and William, but they did say that the most difficult part of this trial so far has been waiting for a verdict to come down. Now, the Gordons are seeking millions of dollars in damage after 2 of their children died in a house fire back in 1997 in the 3800 block of McRee. Tim Gordon, the father of the children, says that a smoke detector made by a First Alert subsidiary failed to go off, trapping the children in the home. Now, fire investigators determined that the blaze was started by children playing with a lighter. Now, the judge in this case, Margaret Neal, gave this case to the jurors yesterday afternoon. They deliberated for about an hour. They met again at 9 o'clock this morning. It's expected they'll take lunch in about a half an hour. Robin?
And of course, we'll continue to follow it and have whatever happens on our later newscast.
We're waiting for a verdict.
All right. That's Laura Nangle reporting live in downtown St. Louis.
KMOV TV for St. Louis. Thanks for choosing News 4 St. Louis at 5 o'clock.
I felt vindicated. I felt relieved. You know, it's been going on for 2 years.
Our top story just moments ago, a jury comes back with a verdict in a lawsuit prompted by a deadly fire. Thank you for joining us. For 2 days, the St. Louis jury has been deliberating. Jurors were trying to decide if the maker of a smoke detector was responsible for 2 children dying in a house fire.
Within the past hour, the jury made its decision, and Laura Nangles is live from outside the courthouse with the verdict and reaction on this breaking story. Laura?
Well, Mary Gordon, the mother of those 2 children who died in that house fire back in 1997, has been awarded $20 million by a jury. The verdict came down just around 4 o'clock. The jury in their verdict said that BRK Incorporated, that is a subsidiary of First Alert Smoke Detectors, was responsible for the deaths of 4-year-old Erica Jackson and 5-year-old William Phillips. The jury believed that the smoke detector in the home did not work properly. It was operational, it did have a battery, but it did not sound until firefighters broke into the home. The fire trapped the children and their father inside that fire on McRae. Tonight, the children's father feels vindicated. Well, tell me about it.
I know right now that we and America are happy. I know right now their souls are finally at rest. They know that Mommy and Daddy did all they could for them, and it's over with. It's finally over. What are you hoping?
The mother of those children, Mary Gordon, and her husband, Tim Gordon, were in the courtroom. They wept openly when the verdict was read. But this case is not over. There are 2 phases to this trial right now. The first was when the jury awarded Mary Gordon and her husband $20 million. The second phase is taking place right now. The jurors are deliberating on what's called damages for aggravated circumstance, or punitive damages. What that means is that the jury believes the company BRK Incorporated is responsible for the deaths of the children and that they should be punished. On top of the $20 million verdict, the jury must now decide how much the company should pay Mary and Tim Gordon for selling them what the jury believes was a faulty detector.
Okay, thank you. Laura Nangle reporting live from downtown St. Louis.
Investigators want
CBS News. KMOV TV for St. Louis. Thanks for choosing News 4 St. Louis at 6.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We have some breaking news at this hour. A truck accident near Lake St. Louis. We have Sky Zoom 4 heading that way, and we'll bring that story to you in just a few minutes. But first, a St. Louis jury has reached a verdict in a trial to determine if the maker of a smoke detector was responsible for the deaths of 2 small children.
That fatal fire happened in South St. Louis in 1997. Now, Laura Nangle is live at the courthouse in downtown St. Louis with the latest. Laura?
Well, the jury just came back with their final verdict moments ago. Reporters are behind me talking with attorneys on both sides of this case. The jury has awarded Mary and Tim Gordon a total of $50 million after two of their children died in a house fire back in 1997. The jury found the smoke detector company BRK Incorporated, that is a subsidiary of First Alert. They found them negligent for manufacturing a smoke detector that the jurors believe did not sound off soon enough for the occupants of that house fire to get out of the home to safety. Now, the two children, their pictures seen here, 5-year-old William Phillips, he has the bandana on his head, and his 4-year-old sister Erica Jackson were found by firefighters in a back bedroom of their home in the 3800 block of McCree. The children were in their father's arms. Their mother, Mary Gordon, was at work. Now, during the trial, Tim Gordon told jurors he heard one of the children scream, and when he ran into the living room, the house was filled with smoke. The doors to the home were locked, and despite attempts to get out through a window, Gordon and his children were trapped.
It kind of set aside all the rumors. It set aside the fact that the other attorneys, other lawyers were trying to say that I did something wrong, that I had something to do with the fire, that I didn't make the right decision. So I really felt relieved. I felt like the world was lifted off my shoulders.
Now, the attorneys originally asked for the Gordons, the attorney for the Gordons originally asked for $100 million. They only received $50 million. I spoke with Tim Gordon briefly after that verdict came down. He said it's not enough money for the loss of his children, Erica and William.
All right, thank you. Laura Nangle reporting live from downtown St. Louis.
Because of such lawsuits, First Alert is now putting warnings on its detectors. The warnings point out that some detectors are better than others at picking up certain types of fires. For instance, so-called ionization detectors are designed to pick up the presence of flames. They do not pick up smoldering fires as fast. Photoelectric smoke detectors are designed to detect the presence of smoke, but they don't identify flames as quickly. Consumer Reports recommend you might want to buy dual sensor detectors. They have just recently started hitting the market.
St. Louis vending.
Next door to the property here and told the firefighters about it, and they got over obviously very quickly there.
Okay, thank you. Jason Whiteley reporting live from Bridgeton.
In other news now, a St. Louis jury is so upset with the First Alert smoke detector company that it handed a local family a $50 million judgment.
That family lost 2 children in a fire in 1997. The jury ruled First Alert failed to warn consumers about problems its alarms have in detecting some fires. Michael Connell reports.
And I felt like our decision is going to save the lives of a lot of people.
Damon Parker and 8 other St. Louis jurors believe this 1997 fire on McCree in South St. Louis never would have claimed the lives of 5-year-old William Phillips and 4-year-old Erica Jackson if their parents' First Alert smoke detector had worked as advertised.
We're trying to send the message that they need to change. That they need to warn the public that their product is limited in its ability to detect smoke.
The jurors awarded the children's mother and her husband, Mary and Tim Gordon, $20 million in actual damages and another $30 million in punitive damages.
I know right now that we, America, are happy. I know right now their souls are finally at rest. They know that Mommy and Daddy did all they could for them, and it's over with. It's finally over.
The Gordon's lawyer argued that the First Alert smoke alarm failed to detect the fire because it was an ionization detector, which is not as quick in detecting smoky fires like the one in the children's home. Attorney Tony Bruning argued First Alert withheld that information from consumers.
That this smoke detector is a problem. It needs to be made, the people in the United States need to know that this is a problem.
First Alert and BRK Brands smoke detectors are manufactured to meet the highest quality standards. Our detectors save millions of lives. In this case, the detector sounded, but due to human response, tragic consequences ensued. We send our deepest, most heartfelt sympathy to Mr. and Mrs. Gordon, but we will file an appeal.
Fire investigators say this fire was set by one of the children playing with matches, but jurors rejected First Alert's argument that Tim Gordon was negligent in reacting to the fire. First Alert has lost other lawsuits. An Iowa jury awarded a family $16 million last year, and another lawsuit just like this one will be heard in Michigan later this month.
You mentioned 9 jurors making the award. There were 12 on the panel.
Yeah, you only need 9 of the 12, and 3 of the jurors apparently thought that this was just too much money to award the family.
All right, thank you, Michael Connell reporting. Well, not all smoke detectors are built alike, and the differences could mean the difference between life and death. In a story we first brought you back in February, Jamie Allman shows you the marked differences in home smoke detectors.
Adequately protecting your family with smoke detectors may depend on how well you read the fine print. Look at what's popping up on user manuals for First Alert smoke detectors. It's basically an admission that the most popular kinds of smoke detectors, using so-called ionization technology, are not most effective as another type at detecting the most common kinds of fires. The smoldering ones caused by cigarettes or electrical outlets, the ones that eventually burst into flames.
They had fires in places where the detector just didn't go off.
And one proved a little more effective as far as, quickly going off versus the other, but they're both going to go off.
Eventually. Consumer tests have shown that while the ionization detectors that we commonly have in our homes are pretty good at detecting flames in waste baskets and kitchens, they pick up smoke much slower than the detectors that use so-called photoelectric technology. Few manufacturers bother to tell you that, and First Alert only came out with its warning after being sued by fire victims. The company now recommends you buy both kinds of detectors or a new model that has dual sensors. Jamie Allman, News 4.
And Consumer Reports seconds that advice, recommending that you do buy one of each type of those smoke detectors.
38 elderly nuns had to spend the night in DePaul Hospital when emergency crews evacuated them from campus homes at the hospital.
First Alert's smoke detector company plans to appeal a $50 million judgment by a St. Louis jury. Tim and Mary Gordon sued First Alert. They claim the company failed to warn customers some of its smoke detectors are slow to ring in particularly smoky fires. Mary Gordon lost 2 of her children, 5-year-old William Phillips and 4-year-old Erica Jackson, in the April '97 blaze at the Gordon South St. Louis home. According to testimony, the First Alert alarm didn't sound until after firefighters had arrived at the fire.
Safety was a major issue, and I thought that this would bring more awareness about what we need to protect our houses and our families and supplement fire detectors and get them in where we need to and try to cut down on deaths of children.
The jury awarded $20 million in actual damages and $30 million in punitive damages.